I know people that are not moving forward with intent. For me, life it's very precious. And so I want to enjoy my time, but I also don't want to waste the time in a sense of going through day to day without purpose. I don't know if I could even do it, just sort of like lingering along and, going this and that. And maybe it's my German soul that needs that.
That's funny. Yeah, maybe. Welcome to Midlife Dialogues, where we are continuing our conversation with Petra Wiesenbauer. In last time's episode, we talked about how she made a total career change, including going back to school at age 50. And today we're going to talk more about specifically embracing your life, which is something that Petra has definitely done. So first of all, Petra, welcome.
Well, I'm so happy to be back listening.
Do you mind if I ask you your age now?
I don't mind. I'm 59.
How do you feel about being 59?
I actually feel fabulous about being older and almost 60. I feel actually so filled, with gratitude, and also I feel blessed, in a way, having worked through many challenges in my life, having resolved so many things, and having really found a new purpose in life. And I feel, even though, of course, physically we're declining at this age, but there's so much freedom, inner freedom that you can reach as you're getting older. I'm not worried so much anymore about, what people think or whether I fit into this circle or not. I've created, my own niche. I know who I am. A lot of these self-doubts and this feeling of uncertainty that I experienced in my younger years, I simply don't have that anymore. And so it's very joyful, to be older, I think.
Well, that's a great answer. I was also going to ask you, you might have rendered this question obsolete in how you answered that one, but I was going to say, how old do you feel?
I the other day had a dream where I dreamt I was in my mid-20s. I definitely don't feel like I'm in my mid-20s physically, and definitely also not in a sense of the maturity level of a 25-year-old, but I feel really young inside. I feel that I'm a lot more spontaneous and a lot more unencumbered by, let's say, norms or judgments or self-criticism, like self-esteem issues, things like that. Yeah. So
Well,
I
that's
feel
great.
actually very young.
That's great. That's great. So we talked in a previous video about how you went back to school in your 50s. When you turned 50, you started, and you got a degree in marriage and family counseling and started your own practice, which is just so impressive to do at this point in your life. I love it. Would the child that you used to be surprised to see you now and see what you're doing?
I think the child would have never expected that.
Oh,
Because I feel I was a very insecure person. I was very introverted when I grew up. And, like seeing the person I am today, even my kids, when I tell them that I was so insecure and introverted, they're like, there's no way, mom. That's impossible. I'm a completely different person.
interesting, interesting. You also talked in our previous episode about going into this next part of your life now that your children are gone off to school and work. You're living a different type of life now without having children in the home to raise. You talked about living with intent.
Mhm.
Tell me what that means to you.
It means for me that I am not just sort of like stumbling through my life, but that I am creating a purpose and I am intentionally, taking steps to reach an inner state of fulfillment and gratitude.
Fulfillment and gratitude.
Mhm.
Tell me why.
So the why question, I'm not sure about that, but for me, it is then, meaningful. And it entails things like, of course, the work I do, but it also entails many things like complete honesty, complete authenticity, but also being very responsibly with my environment, with the people I spend time with the community, and of course with my family. And why am I doing this? Because I feel like it's also part of my whole life concept where I want to I'm having a hard time right now to describe this, but where I look at myself as part of sort of like an ancestral chain or lineage, and I am doing my part in this lifetime to resolve certain topic areas or tasks or things that are handed to me, and with that, I can change generational patterns. I can pass things on to my children that are filled with strength and resourcefulness. And I am trying to really leave, let's say, unhealthy patterns behind. And that's all part, of course, of my work, but also how I envision my life as a part of a bigger context.
That's a great answer. I saw that in my mind when you talked about a lineage, and we want our children to do a little bit better than we did, and it's supposed to get better as you go. So yeah, that's a wonderful answer.
Yeah, and it's not just we want them to get better, financially or economically, but there are certain things. So, for example, my family, obviously, my parents are both, grew up in Germany. Both my parents were born shortly before the Second World War. There are definitely certain things they experience. For example, my dad's father was killed in the war when he was 5 years old. My mom went through a severe bombing and war experiences when she grew up. And so, of course, both of them brought things with them that then very much impacted my brother and myself. And of course, there were also dysfunctional things that were passed on. And so I look at this as also part of my responsibility or purpose in life to help resolve some of these things so they are not passed on to my children, or my children don't pass them on to their children or the next generations.
Yeah, yeah, that's very interesting. If you had to sum up your life right now in 3 words, what might they be?
Wow. Mm, I would say challenge, rich, and gratitude.
Challenge, rich, and gratitude.
Yes.
Oh, well, what's the challenge?
The many challenges that I encountered in my life, and that includes, the immigration to the United States. It includes cancer 2 times. It includes natural disasters. It includes a broken marriage and completely new beginnings multiple times. And so for me, it is also this part of life where you are facing the challenges and you're not breaking apart, but you're taking this as an opportunity to create something new and to really literally transform the broken pieces into something new. And this is where the rich comes in, where I feel that myself and the children have really achieved so much of this transformation into a new purpose and a much healthier and more functional way of life.
Great, great. What would you tell someone who wanted to go back to school or make some huge change to their life as you did at a later age? What would you say to them?
I would tell them, you can do it. Really, I can only encourage everyone to do this and to really trust that you have the ability to achieve that. You may not be young and you may not be able to stay up all night and do certain things, but the way you learn is so much more efficient than when you were in your early 20s. And it will definitely put you on a completely different track when you do this.
Yeah.
It opens new doors and it creates definitely a new purpose.
That's terrific. One theme of these interviews I do is I talk to people who are really embracing their lives after age 50, and you definitely fall into that camp. Is there any advice you would give to others who want to do more of that, who really want to embrace their lives more, whether in big ways or small ones?
So for me, a part of this is also that I have, daily routines. for me, this is a very important part of embracing my life. And part of these routines are that I get up early in the morning, that I really prepare for each day. I go for a walk, I do morning meditations. I truly embrace, gratitude and thankfulness for each day as a new chance to make a difference or to experience the beauty of life. So I have this whole positive, attitude and embracing of each day, but oftentimes even, smaller time increments. And I try to really do a lot of things with great awareness. So mindfulness, like even when I prepare my food, I try to be very mindful of what and how I cut my salad or how I cut the ingredients and what I put into it. So a lot of intention goes into it. And I feel many of these little practices make a difference in how you embrace all of your life.
That's a good reminder. Last question. Do you have a philosophy about living that you think about, or a saying that you live by? Maybe you don't, but I just thought I would throw that question out there.
Yeah. So a lot of things are, of course, also connected to my culture, the culture I come from as a German. So there are things where it is really good for me to actually also be organized in my life. So to keep things in order and to not get to a point where things become completely overwhelming. And then to really also embrace this perseverance, this consistency, or so this whole attitude of not giving up. The right solution will come. And in our family, the kids and I, we basically say, we're the family that can turn shit into gold. And so even if you have really disastrous situations that you're facing, you can transform it. And so this whole idea of transformation for me is a very important life concept.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. Thank you
Yeah.
so much, Petra. I've really enjoyed talking with you. And thanks
Thank you.
everybody for listening to Midlife Dialogues, and we'll see you next time.